You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about how random events in our life can open doors to opportunities. And we've all been there, right? It's like, why do certain things happen, yet the outcome can be unexpected in a great way? So we're going to be talking about that. Also, I want to make sure you stay with us because in our next segment, we're going to be joined by Diane Gilman. What a powerhouse. And I think after you hear her story, you're never going to look at a pair of jeans again. And I don't want to give it all away, but, talk about somebody who has been really going after life, living full out. But even into her 70s, she's functioning like she's 25. Life is just beginning for Diane Gilman. You just don't want to miss that interview. So special. And we want to make sure that beyond today's show that you are supported. So make sure that you go to livingfullout.com, go to the radio page. All of our episodes are there for you. Just find the one that resonates with what you're going through most right now. And of course, you can always reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. But when we talk today about, these random events that happen in our life, I hear from clients so often and they say to me, gosh, I wasn't going to go to that event. I wasn't going to go to that bar. But they did, and they met now the love of their life, right? And so sometimes when we put ourselves in this place where we have excuses, right? Where we can say, oh, I'm too tired, or oh, it's going to be a waste of my time. You always have to kind of put that noise that's rattling around in your brain aside, because the truth is, I would rather see something through, come home and say, it was a nothing burger, but, I tried, than have to live my days wondering, what if? Dun, 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 right? You don't want to be in that what if gray zone, because then it's like your destiny, you might have missed it. You might have missed that love of your life. You might have missed that new partnership. It's always better in the living full out spirit to really be a yes person. Go out there and seize every opportunity. Now, I know even for myself, being legally blind has not been a walk in the park. But in some ways, it's opened doors to opportunities. I remember back when I went to IPEC. That was the school I went through to get my life coaching certification. And after I graduated, a gentleman from KFWB, a radio station in Los Angeles, went to that school and said, we want Les Brown during the week to do life coaching, and we'd really like someone on the weekends. And there were a lot of talented coaches, right, that I'd gone, through the course with. But for some reason, they remembered me. And probably so because at that time, there was no audiobooks of all of their text materials. I literally had to take every page of all 7 of their textbooks and scan every page into my computer so that my voiceover technology could read it to me. So that was a bit of a standout. So here I am getting this call from this gentleman. His name is Cal from KFWB. And sure enough, before too long, I was on the air doing this exact show and taking calls and giving inspiration. But again, it was really the fact that I was kind of a standout due to the things I had to navigate, being visually impaired, taking that course. They'd never had anyone like that. And even if I fast forward to today, again, going blind, not fun. However, you go through stages when you're losing your vision. You, first of all, fake it till you make it, right? You try to do all these little things, Band-Aids, to try to do workarounds so that you can still be independent or, hit your marks even though you can't see. And for me, that was, driving. I had eventually had to give up driving, but I knew that if I drove in the middle of the day, not sunrise, not sunset, when the sun was too bright, I could still kind of hang in there until the day came that I gave up driving. But then after that, your next progression is the cane, the white cane. And that took a bit because I was like, oh my goodness, now I'm using the white cane and you just have to get past the whole, now I really feel blind. Because you have to always understand it is for other people to know that you can't see. Although being a blind person, it is helpful to tap that stick against edges like grass or curbs or fire hydrants or trees. But it doesn't tell you about low-hanging branches, right? It doesn't do anything from the top down, just gives you alerts from the bottom, like the ground. Then you progress to a guide dog. And today I have my guide dog Frost. Oh my goodness, he is so yummy. He's such a good boy. And the thing is, even in getting Frost, I can tell you that career doors have opened. Now, I'm not to say that they wouldn't have happened if I hadn't had Frost, but he just kind of adds a little extra something. We're quite a good duo together. And so again, it's not always going to be obvious, these doors that are going to open. And sometimes you're going to resist them, like I did the cane, like I did, do I need the dog yet? Am I that blind? But once you get around the bend of saying yes and accepting those help or services or, being able to step into this new version of you, doors will open. Now, it's really interesting too when I think down memory lane of different men I've dated in my life. Yes, some of that was intentional, online dating or something like that. But sometimes it was just a matter of me showing up. I remember I dated this one guy for about 4 years. We're still just great friends today. And it was a meetup group. So for all of you who do social functions or want to, there's a site called meetup.com. And this was a social function one evening at a beautiful venue. Person playing the piano, kind of everybody singing along, really just on the beach in Santa Monica, great. And it was a black and white party. The women wore white, the men all wore black, and it was just a lot of fun. But when I went there, again, being visually impaired, it was a really large venue, lots of people, everybody was blurry, no one had faces. And I remember getting there thinking, why am I here? Why am I here? And again, our insecurities sometimes can make us feel like we're really, really small, like we have no confidence. But I said, you know what? Buck up, camper. You're here. You're looking good. Go get a glass of wine. I navigated my way. I got the glass of wine and I just got hung out. And, before I knew it, I met a few people. And then before I knew it, I met this really attractive guy. And, again, the story went on that we dated 4 years. Now, if I had not gone, if I had got there and said, oh, why am I here? And did a pivot and went home, then I wouldn't have had that relationship with that person. And that person, I'll tell you, wow, really holds my dreams in his hands. Although we're still friends today, I will tell you he is a very loyal companion and friend in life. So again, it was just a matter of stepping out there and going for it. And I wonder, how oftentimes do we let our inner voice hold us back? How often do we doubt, if I do that, is it really going to happen? I'm a dreamer, and I love that. I'll never not be one. But in order to be a dreamer, in order to be someone who is entrepreneurial, in order to be someone who is tenacious, purposeful, all of that, you have to be willing to roll up your sleeves. You have to be willing to take risks. And to do that, you've got to be bold. And sometimes that boldness is going to be uncomfortable. Sometimes, you're not going to want to proceed. You're going to want to, revert backwards. But I empower you to take that one more step. It's interesting how in life, it's that one more action, one more sit-up, one more lift of the weight in the biceps, right? One less chocolate chip, right? It's that one more thing that really gets you over the finish line. But it's also that vision. And remember how I said I'm a dreamer? Well, I'm a visionary too. I believe when we are thinking about opportunities, as much as they may happen randomly, and doors will open, you also have to have a vision of seeing yourself smiling, seeing yourself successful. Now, success is going to be different for everyone. That might be being in a successful relationship. You've got him or her on your arm and you're just beaming with love. Success could be having a really solid family, one that you're really proud of and, can grow with over the years. Another success could be a business. But again, it starts with getting outside your comfort zone. It starts with, getting out there, jumping into the unknown, because again, those unexpected doors, they're going to open. And when they do, I want you to boldly just jet out and greet with open arms what's ahead of you. And if it's not good, you can always take a step back. So I want to make sure throughout today's show that you ponder all this. And again, Diane Gilman coming up, her story is going to generate a lot of insights for you as well. Truly, it's not one that's going to just part the clouds and the angels are going to sing, oh, but truly it's going to give you so many tangible go-tos that you're going to leave today's show more invigorated than ever. We'll be right back with Diane Gilman.
Life looks a little different. During these times, we're doing our best to keep our minds and bodies strong. And getting a flu shot helps us stay healthy, so we don't miss out on what matters. Like having game night at home. Yeah, can't do that while sick with the flu. Now imagine family movie night that your daughter can't live without. Well, that's ruined. And don't forget your uncle's socially distanced cookout. See, that's why it's important to be at our strongest. Every year, millions of people in the U.S. get the flu. Especially now, no one has time to miss out on moments that matter. So get your flu shot. Find out more at getmyflushot.org. Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup away from your computer.
Oh, no.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're texting your boss by mistake.
Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning. The cap is loose on that ketchup.
Ugh. Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about how random events will open doors to opportunities in your life. And as I promised, our inspirational guest today, Diane Gilman, is a perfect example, not just of living full out, but really how to break down those doors and trust her instincts. And you'll learn a lot of why that is the case. So I'd like to welcome Diane to the show.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi there. So nice to have you.
I'm excited.
Oh, you're always excited. You're like a party of one.
I'm like an ever-ready bunny. It's true, but...
Well, Diane, I want to take our audience back in time a bit. And today, we're talking about how random events can open doors, right? You grew up to parents that really should have never had a child. Your mom never really wanted you. She made that clearly obvious and telling you that bluntly. Your dad was a bit of a predator and abusive in his own right, chasing you around with a butcher knife and just really scary. Yeah. But yet it's random that you were born to those two people who should have never had a child. I mean, they did birth you. They didn't adopt you. They birthed you. And so knowing that you came from them, like your bloodline comes from them, how do you think that kind of got Diane cooking? Because this vigor, this passion, this tenacity, this warrior spirit, you had to fight the good fight early on.
Yeah, I feel like fashion design was in my DNA, and it was one of those things where from an infant almost, I was obsessed with fashion and prints and colors, and it was so keyed into my brain that I felt my only choice was to rebel. And so just trying to develop my talent, which I believed in all my life, I couldn't let that go. And yet, instead of making me a good child that knew what I wanted and was willing to work to do it, I was a bad child. I was a rebellious child. I was a child they couldn't do anything with. And that was, to me, probably as a kid, the most confusing dichotomy. But I never gave up on myself. I guess that would be the key phrase.
You know what? I love that you said that you never gave up on yourself. And, you did have to make a tough decision. At 18, you asked for the car keys. You never told them you were leaving, and you just drove off into the sunset. I mean, I don't think you even saw your mom for like 35 more years later. I mean, you left. And, you were on your own. But again, you got creative. You kind of took these random events. You had a little consignment shop with a friend, and, Cher came in and like bought everything. And you started networking in the music scene. But you had to hustle. And so what did you have to do and be at 18 to really let people see you? Because that's so young.
Well, part of it, the music scene was sort of a natural because I had a boyfriend who was a record agent. And the woman, Rosanna Norton, that I opened up the consignment store with was Jim Morrison's girlfriend. So there was a perfect in there. And then through my record agent boyfriend, I met Janis Joplin. I was at her first audition with record labels. And so that part of it was kind of organic and natural and easy. But I had to take every kind of job. Sales girl, waitress, cocktail waitress. I mean, I did what I needed to do to survive. And I have to say, as stressful as that was, I never missed a month's rent. And I never regretted it. I knew I could not live at home. My parents, united, and myself had such different views of the world and what my future held that it was not tenable. It wasn't good for them either. I felt in a way I was doing my parents a favor because even after all those years, my mother and my name was in every department store. My mother never appreciated what I did. My father had passed, and she said, it took me back 35 years, 40 years. She said she should have married a doctor. Like, that was it. There was no flexibility.
Well, in LA, San Francisco, that music scene sounds like a lot of fun. And you were a mover and a shaker. You were doing it. But yet, that wasn't enough for Diane. You needed a bite of the Big Apple. What was it about New York, that shiny New York, that you had to get to? What dreams were there that weren't in California?
Oh, many. New York, first of all, was the hub of fashion apart from Europe. New York was everything. New York was professional. New York was glamorous. New York was fast-moving. New York was where you were. If you were about Hollywood, of course, you would be in Los Angeles. But if you were about fashion, you were going to be in New York. And so New York held the promise of a sophisticated, successful life through a fashion career that I dreamt of since I was a little girl. And it was everything. And I came here, and now I'm sitting here in New York, in Manhattan. But I came here barely knowing more than one person. And just having these huge dreams, which nobody else in New York in the fashion industry shared with me. And so once again, I was climbing Mount Everest of my career.
Yeah, but you are Diane Gilman. So if Mount Everest would have picked on the wrong woman, for sure. And truly, I did a stint in New York as well, and my early broadcasting years. So I can appreciate, wanting to bite that apple, wanting to see what it would be like to live there. And obviously, you're still there. So, Diane, stay with us. When we come back, everyone, we're going to continue our story with her. But what you want to think about today in your own life are all these random events. Are they really random? Or are they just right there waiting for you to step through, to climb over? And that is a lot of what it means to live full out, to just have that hunger, have that thirst, have that desire, quiet the noise of expectations and what other people think you should be or do, and just be you. You will never go wrong. So we'll be coming right back after this break with more with Diane Gilman. It's all about living full out, but yet, again, embrace those random opportunities.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today?
The only thing I didn't learn
is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
I'm Nancy Solari, certified life and business coach. I want to invite you to the Personal Development Boot Camp. During the boot camp, we're going to be looking at taking those insecurities that you have and getting rid of them. We're also going to look at ways in which you can thrive and live a life full of purpose. Go to livingfullout.com/bootcamp, livingfullout.com/bootcamp to sign up. I believe in you, and here's to you living your life full out.
They'll challenge your authority.
Put your seatbelt on.
They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
7 million children suffer from asthma, more than any other chronic disease. Most asthma attacks are caused by allergic reactions to allergens, including those left behind by cockroaches and mice. In fact, 82% of U.S. households contain mouse allergens, and cockroaches are found in up to 98% of urban homes. How can you protect your family? Find out at pestworld.org. A message from the National Pest Management Association and the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association. In partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show, and we are going to be continuing our interview here with Diane Gilman. Today, we're talking about how random events can open doors to opportunities, and that has happened many different times in her life, and she's sharing those with us. So welcome back, Diane.
Thank you. What a great theme.
Oh.
I mean, that's a theme I live by, honestly, is quiet yourself on the inside so you can be more aware of the circumstances and the opportunities that come your way.
And you know what? I really get that. It's that kind of be still, think things through. You know, you're a passionate woman, but you are methodical in your moves. And let's talk about one of those maneuvers. You found yourself, having a nighttime gig. We won't get into that. But by day, you were working at Bloomingdales. And you were working in like the old lady girdle department and
so
fish
awful.
out of water. Truly. But again, the Diane that I know and love, she quieted the noise of that department she didn't love, and she sought an opportunity. Who did you see, and what door did that open?
That was pretty amazing, and it leads me to my ongoing belief that nothing is truly by coincidence. So I was miserable in this department, and it was a department also with bullet bras, like a couple of years before Madonna made the bullet bra and girdle fashionable and glamorous. I read Women's Wear Daily passionately every day. And I think that that gave me a link to the fashion world that I just couldn't break into. One day, a woman comes racing across the floor. I think it was the third floor, the fourth floor of Bloomingdales. I recognized her from Women's Wear Daily. She was a fashion coordinator. And she came driving into the department and said, "We're not making any money in this department. We've got to change it. It's not attractive. I want to change all the displays." And all the other saleswomen who were at least 50 years older than me disappeared. And I said, "Okay, I volunteer. I'll help you." And while I did, I said, "I'm a designer and I have a collection," which wound up being 7 pieces I had sewn on my, trusted singer. And she called the then president of Abraham and Strauss, which was a huge department store in Brooklyn, and said, "Get on the subway." It was one stop away from Bloomingdales. "And get here right now. I have the latest, greatest new talent, me." And, all my dreams came true. And I quit Bloomingdales. I quit selling girdles. But if I hadn't been there, I would have never had that opportunity. And not only did they order $100,000 worth of design, which I think at that time you would reinterpret that as almost $1 million order today. But they also gave me all the windows of the store with my name plastered everywhere and a whole series of New York Times centerfold Sunday ads. And it was incredible. I was on my way. Yeah.
That is a pinch me moment. And honestly, I can only imagine how you celebrated that, because that is such a big moment for you. And, again, these moments for you, these random opportunities, random doors, kept opening. Now, I know that you were in a relationship, loved the man for, 20 years, and, you found yourself caregiving, lost a lot of weight. Once he had passed, which I'm sorry to hear, you found comfort in food and you gained a lot of weight. And so many women and men are going to raise their hand, because mac and cheese has always been a loyal companion to me. The thing is, you found yourself nearly obese. But it's interesting how becoming nearly obese opened another door. And there's so much to the story, more than we can get into today. But what I find most interesting is you wanted to get back to feeling good in jeans. You wanted to, but you were just out of weight. You were bigger in the middle than anywhere else. And you went on a quest to find jeans and you couldn't find any. And this is where I admire you so much, Diane, the most, because when you hit a brick wall or when you have a problem, you're a solver. What did you do?
I always see life as a series of obstacles like brick walls, but there's a door in that brick wall. You just don't see it yet. So coincidentally, I was on television already, and when my husband died, and he originally had colon cancer, so he couldn't eat. I couldn't eat around him. It was heartbreaking. When he passed, I made food my companion and went up to almost 200 pounds. And I had been a cool rock and roll girl, and now I was middle-aged and hitting about 55 years old, and feeling invisible and feeling uncomfortable. And what I wanted to do was wear the one garment that connected my youth to my current being. And I couldn't do it. I realized the jean market was fast and young. So I went on that quest to find a jean. There were none that fit me. And one day I just thought, this is so stupid. I have a sewing room in New York with professional seamstresses, that made the collection every season. I'm going to take my measurements. I'm going to make the pattern and I'm going to make a jean for my middle-aged body. Well, when I did, it was so impactful on my life that I'm always thinking, and I thought, wouldn't millions of women love this? I mean, I feel more of a spring in my step. I feel younger. I feel more in shape. I feel cool. I want to do things that really social again. So I took my jean. I went to the then just had come on board CEO Mindy Grossman, who had founded Polo Jeans with Ralph Lauren, so she knew jeans. I pitched my concept. She said, okay. And she gave me a cold, but she gave me 1 hour at least, but not in prime time, on a cold, dark February morning at 5 a.m. with a plus-size host who screamed at me right before the show, I hate jeans. I'm never, ever going to wear a pair of jeans. Oh, great. So now I have a host who won't even help me promote the product. But guess what? We sold out of 5,000 pairs in 3 minutes. Had nothing left to sell for the entire hour, but it was an instant success. So I always saw that as my light bulb moment, that, if the mountain won't come to you, go to the mountain and reshape the mountain. I reshaped a jean and wound up selling in, I think, a 13-year period on air, 20 million jeans in America alone.
Diane, I mean, that is so, so impressive. And, what I want everyone to realize, I mean, Diane is, in her 70s now, and she is functioning like she's still 55 again, 25 again. And so as we round out today's interview, Diane, what advice do you have for our audience who is like, well, she had more breaks than me, which you really didn't? What would you tell them in terms of recognizing these opportunities?
I didn't really have more breaks, but I always go by an old saying, which is the harder you work, the luckier you get. So my attitude at 77, about to be 78, and I'm starting a new career on social media as a silver-haired influencer, is you are never too old to dream, and it's never too late to make your dreams come true. Just take that chance. And if you lead with your heart, if your heart is really in it, the way it was for me with design, but frankly, also with expressing myself on social media, I love it. And I love podcasts and radio, doing radio. You can never go wrong if you lead from your heart. That would be my advice.
Well, and again, you are a problem solver. You're someone who kind of met the moment. And I think a lot of times people think it's too late to be an entrepreneur. It's too late to get that break.
No. I'm going to give you just 2 examples. Colonel Sanders was a bus driver his whole life and retired when retirement age was and got a pension. And with the pension, people always said, wow, 4th of July, you make the best fried chicken ever. And he opened up a little and at 72, I believe, 74, became a millionaire.
At 72, he did KFC? Wow.
I think 72 or 74. And for Coco Chanel, she designed a Chanel suit and the quilted handbag at the age of 72.
Oh, wow.
So these are people that had a dream and lived that dream, made it happen. And they never said to themselves, I'm too old, I'm over the hill, it's all past me. No, They just adapted themselves to what I think they believed was their destiny, as did I. That's why I never think you're too old.
Well,
Diane,
Diane, when I make my way to New York, I'm going to look you up. I can't wait to go out with you and just kind of celebrate all of your wins, honestly. Thank you so much for being on today's show. We've loved hearing your words of wisdom.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for letting me share my philosophy.
Absolutely. And so everyone, that is Diane Gilman. What a force to be reckoned with. But really, look her up online. There's so much more that we didn't get to today that I know will inspire you. So we're going to be coming right back. But remember that these random events that open all these doors, are they really random? Trust your instincts, go for it, and live life full out.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
When it comes to recognizing random events, you want to think to yourself, is this happening for a reason? Could this be a person or a place I'm meant to be? What can I garnish from this? Really absorb the moment, because guess what? There might be a door around the corner that's being opened. Not an obvious door, but you gotta walk through it to live full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we've been talking about how random events can open doors to opportunities. And you want to think, gosh, am I going to just be arms wide open, super fluid, and let life just drift me to wherever it happens to take me? Or would you like to be a more intentional person, kind of making your own waves, turning your own pages? Now, personally, I go in that lane, but you can't help but be intentional and still have random events happen. And what I want you to think about, everybody's dreams are different. Your goals are going to be different than mine or your friends. But I want you to take today and really list out what would be your top 5 things that you'd like to achieve. And let's just say, for an example, because it's on the mind of so many right now, let's just say that's something like getting in shape, working out. Okay, that's a reasonable one. So then, rather than just whimsically showing up at the gym, seeing if a machine's available, I wonder if there's a class, I wonder, gosh, maybe if I work out a little bit today, I might lose, a little bit of weight, I might feel a little bit stronger. You want to be a little bit more intentional with that. You might actually want to take today to get a tape measure and just start from 0, right? Measure your arms, measure your thighs, measure your waist, right? Document all of that and see where you're starting from. Step on that scale, even if you don't like scales, step on it, log down what your weight is. Okay, there you go. Now, whether you're in a weight loss mode or just want to feel healthy, it's really good to know from today, day 0, what you're starting from. Then from there, being intentional but yet open to random events, you want to put together your plan of action. Now, a plan could be the gym, right? But rather than just randomly showing up, maybe contact the gym ahead of time and say, hey, when is a good time to come there when it's not so busy, where most machines and, equipment are available? Or, gosh, what are your classes? And let them tell you all about their body sculpting classes, or, fitness classes, or circuit training. Find one that maybe works for you and pop it in your schedule. We all know that, the muscles have a memory, right? So you don't want to keep doing the same activity every day. Again, intentionally, you want to shake it up. But when you now load your schedule with aerobic classes, maybe a trainer, knowing when the best times are to go to the gym where it's not so busy, now you're going to walk into those venues at those times. But random events are still going to happen. Again, you might meet that love of your life at that time that you intentionally set out to go there. You might meet a business partner or a really good friend at that aerobic class that if you hadn't gone, you wouldn't have met them. And maybe, just maybe, that trainer, you think you're going to go there and just have them show you how to use the equipment and give you a few fitness tips. But maybe it's a bigger picture. Maybe they have more insight into, hormones or anti-aging, or, maybe they're getting, their own medical degree behind the scenes and they have some chiropractic tips. You never know what that event in your life, what that relationship in your life is going to open. And then after you explore that number 1 on your list, you go to number 2. And I think what you're going to find is when you explore each of these 5 goals that you have, and if 5 is too many, just go with 3. But when you have these goals written down and you explore the different ways in which you're going to, in a full throttle, living full out way, maximize with intention, achieving that goal, then you have to leave kind of, the spirit of randomness to happen. So rather than going to a networking function saying, I'm going to meet somebody today, I'm going to leave with a client, I'm going to leave with a partner, you're forcing it. And life doesn't like to be forced. Life does like intention. Life does like planning, but life doesn't enjoy being forced. And when you are able to, put together that plan, now when you go to places, like even if you get on a plane, right? I was on a plane recently going to and from Las Vegas. I didn't just go in sweats and a sweatshirt. You never know who you're going to meet. I was looking good. And you know what? I got on that plane and I thought, gosh, here's a social media opportunity. I got Frost. We did a little video together. It's whenever you're doing any sort of an action, any sort of event, it's maximizing the moments along the way. Because again, life is meant to be experienced. So when I came back from that trip from Vegas, guess what? I had met somebody on the plane and I'm glad I looked good. I did my videos, we had a successful trip, but again, it was done with intention, yet behind that, there were random events and people that came into my life. So we want to make sure that beyond today's show that you do stay supported. Go to livingfullout.com. If you have an Alexa, you can put Living Full Out Show in there as a skill. Also on social media, we're constantly sharing more and more inspirational stories that I want to make sure that you check out. And if you ever need me, I'm only an email away. Just reach out to me at connect@livingfullout.com. As always, the entire Living Full Out family believes in you. And here's to you living your life full out.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Here's to you, living full out.